Before you start applying your type onto your site, I want to discuss it a little bit. So typography is basically a description of types or fonts. Some you probably think of fonts usually digitally. Basically involves the creation as well as the application. So meaning like the design of it, like how you would create those typefaces, and also how you would utilize those typefaces inside of a composition. The best way that I usually like to think about typography and like its importance is how it has an explicit and implicit meaning. So my typefaces aren't showing up here properly, but if I gave you a note and in the note it said you're invited, but the typeface that you saw was it was in gold and it was curvy and really flourishy, right? You would assume that maybe it was for either like a wedding or like a fancy party, an anniversary, some sort of fabulous sort of event. Okay. Now, if I gave you again, you're invited, but instead it was in a multicolored typeface. Every one was different color, and it was these big round, bubbly looking fonts. You would probably assume that it's probably a kid's birthday party, right? Or some sort of more kind of fun, casual, silly party. Now, if I gave you another one, and it's not here, but it was in like that Goosebumps, dripping blood typeface, you'd probably assume either, you're going to get murdered or that maybe it's a Halloween party, right? Or if it was in that, what's that one called? The ransom font where it's like the different like letters. You would assume that there'd be some sort of bad context to it, right? They all say you're invited. Every one of them, you are invited, but what you're invited to, what with the overall design of it changes depending on the typeface that you utilize. So, for example, if I was going to do a bank, if I did a typeface that looked like this one here, I would not trust that bank, and I would not put my social security number into it, right? Instead, if you were going to do a bank, you would probably have a typeface that's block, right? Kind of similar to this, where it's just this very thick, gives a sense of sort of stability and strength, right? You would want that type of typeface. If I was going to do a newspaper, right, you'd probably do a serif font, which is mostly what this one looks like, where it has the extra little knucks on there. Okay, the serifs is what they're called. So depending on the typeface that's used can entirely change the overall design and the impression that the user gets from it. Now, when we are looking for typefaces and we're describing them, you can describe the letter form. So basically, it's all the pieces that make up the typeface. I'm not going to go into that because there's just a lot that goes into it. What I will tell you is this: if you were a graphic designer and you were taking these web classes, you would have one, and you're in a bachelor program. Almost every bachelor program for graphic design, they're going to require you to take a typography course. So it's going to be one whole semester just talking about type, and that's all you would deal with is type. You would learn about all the pieces of type. You learn how to implement type. You would probably make your own typefaces, so on and so forth. So it's actually a very important subject. It's one of the main tent poles. I mean, if you look at my website, you look at any website, that's probably the largest amount of content is going to be type. And then only second would probably be imagery, depending on your images. You can click on this if you want to learn more. It's just a website that I found that will explain letter form a little bit better. It's taking forever to load up, but anyway, you would click on that. Is it popping up now? And then it'll talk about the different types of typefaces. Okay, but yeah, so that's what typography is.